What's going on, guys? For Complex News, I'm Speedy Mormon, and it's been a while, but this Friday is the National School Walkout, and students from across the country are getting ready to take action to change gun laws. For that reason, they chose April 20th, the anniversary of the 1999 Columbine Massacre. It's another walkout. One also happened on March 14th. Now, after the horrific shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School on Valentine's Day of this year, a powerful youth-led movement has sprung up. Students are at the forefront. They've taken major steps and have decided not to put up with old political excuses in an attempt to end mass shootings. But what's this all for? What is it that they want? We looked at some of the reforms advocated by the National Student Walkout and March for Our Lives and broke down exactly what they are. And look, before all you YouTube kids go crazy, no one is sitting here saying ban all guns. So one thing being advocated for is a universal background check. It's a phrase used to describe attempts to close what's known as the gun show loophole. Here's the deal. In the US, if you buy a gun from a licensed dealer, you have to go through a background check. Your name gets run through the National Instant Criminal Background Check system, and if you're a felon or have some other disqualification, you cannot get a gun. But there is no background check required if you buy a gun in a private sale at, let's say, a gun show. Unsurprisingly, this is a big source of guns used in crimes, according to a 2010 study in the New England Journal of Medicine. So how popular are universal background checks? Very. Poll after poll finds approval ratings anywhere from the mid-80s to the high 90s. In one study, over 40% of the respondents thought the US already had this kind of background check because it seems like such an obvious move. In a 2017 survey, 32 scholars ranked how effective different policies would be in reducing gun deaths, and universal background checks was at the top of the list. Even between 70 and 80% of NRA members support this. So they're also advocating for bans on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. And for all you kids out there who are super anti, certain types of assault weapons and large capacity magazines were already banned at a time. In 1994, Bill Clinton enacted a ban that lasted for 10 years. Obviously, it wasn't perfect. It was full of loopholes and exempted weapons and magazines that were made before the law went into effect, but it did something major. A professor at the University of Massachusetts found that during the ban, mass shootings fell by 37% and gun deaths from mass shootings fell by 43%. After the ban ended in 2004, mass shootings skyrocketed back up 183%, and gun deaths in mass shootings went up a massive 239%. Today, when mass shootings happen at an alarming rate, 89 so far this year, by the way, according to massshootingtracker.org, public opinion is hugely in favor of stricter rules on assault weapons. A recent Quinnipiac University poll showed that 67% of people wanted an assault weapons ban. That was the highest number in the poll's entire 10-year history. My guess is that the remaining 33% is the people who comment on our gun control videos, but I digress. They want bump stocks banned too. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even know what this was up until about 2 months ago, but for those of you out there who don't know what it is, bump stocks are devices that allow semi-automatic rifles to shoot damn near automatic. They really came to public attention after a dozen of them were used in the Las Vegas shooting that killed 58 people and injured 851 people in just 10 minutes. Back in 2010, the ATF, or the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, said that it couldn't ban bump stocks because they were firearm parts, not actual guns, and therefore the agency did not have jurisdiction. But after the Vegas shooting, Donald Trump essentially bullied the Department of Justice into changing its mind and at least proposing a ban. So months after the Vegas shooting, the ban has huge support. In a February poll by Politico and Morning Consult, 77% of respondents were in favor of the ban. No doubt responding to those kinds of numbers, the main company that makes bump stocks, Slidefire Solutions, announced on Tuesday that it would stop taking orders and shut down its website. Digitizing gun records is next up on the list. Gun control opponents have one very big advantage over people fighting for common sense gun regulations: paper. Until recently, gun dealers were not allowed to have computerized records. When a dealership goes out of business, they have to send their old paper records to the ATF, which then digitizes them as a single field, unsearchable PDF. So when the ATF attempts to, say, find out who owns a gun that was used in a crime, they have to look through a whole bunch of PDFs that aren't searchable at all, not by serial number, name, or anything else. Oh, and the agency gets over 1 million documents a month, so there is a constant backlog. All of this is because the NRA has been fighting since 1978 to deny the ATF money to update its computer systems while simultaneously banning searchable registries of guns, gun sales, or gun owners. So now the hundreds of thousands of trace requests that happen in a year have to proceed through a labor-intensive process somewhere in West Virginia that can take up to 7 business days, which is not exactly the best process if you're trying to find a criminal quickly. March for Our Lives has a part of its mission statement, quote, bringing the ATF into the 21st century with a digitized, searchable database. Only in as NRA-dominated a country as America would a step like this not only be difficult, but at least for now, illegal. So if almost everyone is for all of these reforms, then who could possibly be against them? 3 letters, NRA. Or more exactly, the leadership of the NRA. The National Rifle Association is run by folks who hew to a radical, absolutist interpretation of the Second Amendment, where in their minds, any tightening of the laws on guns leads right to troops in black helicopters coming to take away their weapons. But that's a pretty new stance. For the organization's first century, they focused mostly on hunting and marksmanship. The group even said it could, quote, live with the first major gun reform law in decades, the Gun Control Act of 1968. But a radical faction took over the NRA in 1977, and ever since then, they've moved into their current stance, going hard against any gun control measures at all. The leaders of the organization have decided not only that the confusingly worded Second Amendment allows an individual a right to carry a gun, which is something that the Supreme Court only decided in 2008, but that there can be no restrictions allowed on that right. So it doesn't matter if 2/3 of the country or 90% of the country or 80% of their own members support something, they are against it. So here we are. That's what this is all about. That's why kids across the country are walking out. So if you agree and want to walk out, dope. If you don't agree, that's cool too. But what we all need to agree on is that there is a problem here. People are dying right in front of our eyes in churches, concerts, and schools. And this problem is fixable. So let's fix it. For Complex News, I'm Speedy Mormon.